Okay, a little quick tutorial on how to fly helis on Screaming Dayz. Now, this particular heli is my favourite. It's a little homemade, it's a one-seater. It's built out of a car. We're currently getting it so you can craft it. You have to collect all the pieces. When that comes online next week, I'll get a little video on how to craft it, what to find, and then how to put it together. At the moment, if you push tab, you'll see it has a battery. Let me come a bit closer to it. You'll see it's got a battery and a radiator. You can, when you park this somewhere, pull these out, and that means someone has to actually, if you put these in your pack, someone has to actually have these parts on them to steal your helicopter. So that's quite a good way of, we don't allow locking of helicopters on the server, but in this particular case I like this because I can take these parts out, and unless someone is running around with a battery and a radiator in their backpack, they can't take the helicopter. Alright, so this particular helicopter you can't get in from the right hand side. It has no prompt, you have to go around the left hand side. Make sure it's got a radiator and a battery or else it won't start. Get in. Alright, now V toggles your, and actually enter on the number pad does as well, toggles your first person view and third person view. Now to start the helicopter you need first person view. You have a start engine button on this side, and you have a enable autopilot engine on this side. Now if you are new, enable your autopilot first and then start your engine. And you'll see the blade start to turn. Now you can push N, so N for November, on your keyboard, and that turns on the quiet and soften sound, and you can adjust that with your minus, so that turns all sound totally off, and then your plus turns it up 10% of the time. So 30%, 40%, 50%, 60%, but I like it on 1%. Okay. Right, so now you use shift to go upwards. I'm just going to go out to the third person view. And then you've got a few controls that you can use. So the first one is E and Q, and they rotate the helicopter on its own axis while it's stationary. So while it's hovering, E and Q, so it's Q now turning left, E turns right, and it just turns on its own axis. W makes the helicopter go forward. Now while I've got autopilot on, it will just cruise at about 40 odd kilometers an hour. That's all it does with autopilot on. And you can use your use your E and your Q to turn it. And that's how you turn it while you're doing this. Now autopilot is really good for when you need to land in a really tight little spot. So if you want to land in here, trying to do this without autopilot, you have to be an extraordinarily good pilot. But with autopilot, even someone like me can do it. And then I use Z to go down, and then I can get out of the helicopter. Alright, so just taking off again. I have autopilot on. Alright, so once I'm up to a decent height and I'm not going to just instantly crash into things, I go back in to first person, turn off autopilot, and now my W, if I hold my W down, I'll just crash me into the ground. So I just tap it, and I use shift to apply power. So it's like accelerator in a car. So shift applies power, and power in a helicopter gives you lift. So no shift means it's going to slowly sink, and a shift means it's going to slowly raise in height. Now I use D and A to turn left and right, and this tilts or pitches the aircraft. So A pitches left and D pitches right. Nice and simple. Now if I want to make a tighter turn, I can get some speed up. So going down obviously makes more speed. So we're at 120 kilometers here. I think the server is about to restart, so I'm going to land. And I'm just landing without autopilot. Okay, I'm going to shut this off and we'll look at it after the server restart. Okay, so we're taking off again. I'm just using my shift button to take off. I have my middle finger on the W, my ring finger on the A, and my index finger on the D. So I keep my pinky finger on the shift to provide uplift for the helicopter. I want the helicopter to keep having up power. And I use my A and my D to turn, and my S to come up, and my W to put the nose down. So S brings the nose up, W pushes the nose down, A turns the helicopter. Now what you can do to do a sharp turn is put S on that now, and that turns you quite sharply, and you can actually hold both down and then touch your D to bring that back around, and you get a really nice tight turn like that. So when you're flying along a road like this here, you don't want to be too low. So always keep yourself safe. Height is safety. That's a really good analogy. So see how the helicopter's trying to flip upside down? So I'm adding some D to that to stop it flipping upside down while it's in that tight turn. Use my S to pull it around. And I've got my S off now. And just move along. Now, to get the maximum speed out of the helicopter, you hold shift down and you've got to try and balance. You look at your speed down on the left hand dial in the bottom left of the screen. Keep your nose trimmed down. You have to just touch your W, so the shift is going to slowly raise the nose upwards. You see it slowly raising up here. Just keep touching your W every few seconds, and that will give you your maximum cruise speed, which in this little girl is around about, I'm using S to go to that tree, but it's around about 150 kilometers an hour. So one of the things I do for practice sometimes is I find Northwest Airfield, and I just fly up and down the runways, which is quite good fun. So just having a look here. Let's just see where I am. I'm coming into Northwest Airfield here. So remember, if you're new, you don't want to try and land without autopilot. If you're experienced, then obviously you know what to do, so it's all good. So this is one of the, when I started learning to fly, this was one of the things I did. I'd just come along and then just follow these roads along. Not too close to the ground, don't want to crash into telegraph poles. And you can practice coming down along this runway. And then actually do a turn. You can actually do a tight turn here to take my shift off. I'm just doing a tight turn. S is pulling it around. I use my D to stop it flipping over. And then back along. Now you can actually land quite fast. So Z takes you down. So if I just use my Z to come down, that's really bad. That's crash. Oh dear, how embarrassing. Alright, well, that's going to happen to you quite often when you're learning, and I've flown a fair bit. My record, I think, at the moment is 5 helicopters in one day. Oh, well. So, let's do a black one just for nice. So this is a bigger helicopter, this is the little bird. Same thing, start button and autopilot. I'll leave the autopilot off. It's a lot louder. And this one takes a lot longer to spool up. So before it's ready to actually take off, you're going to have to wait. So people can hear this from quite a long way away. And now it's got enough. It's just coming in now. I can lift off. So this is faster than the homemade. And this is a lovely, really nice helicopter to fly. The homemade's very nice too, by the way. So again, I used to practice coming around these roads, using W to pull my nose back down. Now obviously when the server heats up, you're not going to be able to fly around Northwest Airfield like this, because this is going to be the PvP zone. All of our tier 1 gun, or our tier 4 I should say guns, our best guns, are on this airfield. So it's spread throughout these buildings and up at tents and Bashnia. That's all of our tier 4 guns. And we've built it this way purely to facilitate people getting into fights. We want them to come and fight over here. So yes, you can fly these fellas. So let's try a landing on this strip again. So I'm just going to take my time to line up first before I come down. So once you've got it lined up, you then use your Z to come down and you can land really fast as long as the helicopter is straight. If you end up with your tail too far down, it will actually wreck the helicopter. And obviously, as I just proved before, if you crash into something, it'll wreck the helicopter. So shift to take off, W to bring your nose down, and you're moving forward pretty quickly. If someone's shooting at you, you want to be wobbling from side to side. It makes it harder for them to hit you. The helicopter will take several shots from a big gun, but it's not invincible and it can be shot out of the sky by a Barrett or a Shaytek. And if the Shaytek gets a good shot into the top of the rotor blades, it can actually down the helicopter. So let's just presume I want to land up here somewhere. If I'm not very experienced, I can slow the helicopter down by lifting the nose up. So I'm just lifting the nose up, slow down, come into my unit, my first person view, and turn on my autopilot. And that will arrest the helicopter's progress and hover. And then I just bring the helicopter down with my Z. My Z lowers the helicopter. Now while I'm doing that, I can still move forward and spin it around to position the helicopter where it needs to be. But as you can see, that's a very easy landing and there's no stress. So if you want to move it across, you can just hover this high off the ground, and use W to just move it across a little bit at a time, or S to move it back a little bit at a time, or you can use your D or your A to just drift through the air slowly. And when you find the perfect spot you're happy to land, then you just use your Z to drop down. And that, in a nutshell, is flying helicopters. So, good luck and happy flying.